Well, it's that time once again. We're getting into the beautiful San Fernando Valley. It is October, actually today, the day that I'm recording this, it is October 2nd. And so we're getting into spooky season, although a lot of people have already been celebrating Halloween for, the last month or so. But for me, this is when spooky season really begins. So we'll probably talk about that a little bit, look at some other stuff. But before we get going, I want to take a second to thank my newest Patreon supporters and my newest YouTube members. Starting with my newest Patreon supporters, a huge thank you goes out to John Hollins, Forrest Wade, and Grant Maturko. I might have messed up that last name. If I did, I apologize. And then my newest YouTube members, thank you to Chops, PDS, Dutch Road Movies, and Jason Lindeen. Thank you all so much for supporting me on YouTube and on Patreon, and thank you for watching my videos. All right, we're getting into the valley now, so let's go see what we can find. Dun, 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 dun. We are heading over to the Brady Bunch house right now. Shown it on the channel a few times, but I came over here because I heard a rumor that they have something new and I wanted to see if it's true, and I thought you might like to see it too. And I can already see it is true. This is awesome. You're gonna like this. So there it is, right behind me, the Brady Bunch house, the house that was used for exterior shots only of just the front of the house. In case you don't know the story of this house or you haven't seen my other videos about it, I'll give you just a really quick recap. It was put up for sale and it was bought by HGTV, and they then did a reality show here where they remodeled the inside of the house to make it look like the inside of the actual Brady Bunch house. The house then went up for sale again, and honestly, I don't know who owns it now. I think it's just regular people. But the house was actually in the news again recently because unfortunately the house was burglarized, and I thought for sure that would be the end of the Brady Bunch house. I thought the people that owned it would say, that's it, we don't want to have anything to do with this. We're putting up a wall, we're remodeling the front of the house, leave us alone. But they did the exact opposite. They now have Carol's Plymouth station wagon parked right in front of the house. I mean, how cool is that? With this car parked here, this really looks like the Brady Bunch house now. But that's not it. You can probably already see it. In the driveway, they have Mike Brady's 73 Caprice convertible parked in the driveway. I'm not that much of a Brady Bunch nut that I knew, just by looking. I had to look up a picture, but they did put a fake license plate on the front that matches Mike Brady's license plate. And I feel like, there were a few cars in the show. I feel like Mike's blue convertible was a little bit more well-known. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like that's the one that was seen more. And it would have been Carol's station wagon where she loaded up the kids and went grocery shopping and then got in a little fender bender in the parking lot and had to go to court and battle against Uncle Fester, who claimed that he had whiplash. And if I remember correctly, there was a little bit of damage right there on the back of Mrs. Brady's station wagon. Good to see they got that fixed. Now, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think when HGTV did the remodel of the house, I think they did the backyard too and put, the AstroTurf grass and Tiger's doghouse and all of that. So how cool would it be if the people that own this house opened it up to the public, even just for one day, and they had like potato sack races back there. Maybe they could have a football that you could throw at your friend's nose.
Hey, you guys. Oh my no!
Maybe they could put on a play. They could do Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Probably the neighbors wouldn't like that very much if they opened it to the public, but just a thought, I'm just dreaming here. But this is cool enough. The fact that they have these cars out here. The only thing that's missing is they now need to find a replica of Greg Brady's clunker that he bought on the spot. I heard that they actually found one, but they missed out on it because the seller had another guy that was coming to look at it in about an hour. They shouldn't have wasted time asking their dad. No? Okay. So if you are a fan of the Brady Bunch and if you are in the area, make sure that you definitely swing by the house and get a photo while you still can, because like I said, I have no idea if these cars are permanent, temporary, I don't know. So come over here and get yourself a photo. And I thought I would point out that it's October 2nd and it's currently 100 degrees in the valley. I'll check this out. Nice little Suzuki Samurai right here. All right, we're just a few miles up the road now in North Hollywood, passing by North Hollywood Park. And I had to come over here because I got a message this morning from one of my viewers. Shout out to Nightmare on Wax for sending me a message to tell me that one of the locations from Pee-wee's Big Adventure that no one had ever found that I tracked down and showed in my video, and I was so proud to show it. He sent me a message to tell me that it has just recently been demolished. I have not been over here yet to see, okay. I see the construction fence. I don't see the, unbelievable. Wow. It was just here. It was just here. Okay, so like I said, this was one of the few locations from Pee-wee's Big Adventure that no one had ever found. It's such a short, quick scene with really no clues as to where it was, and that's why no one ever found it, and I think no one ever really bothered because it was such a quick scene. But after he gets his bike back from Warner Brothers, he's riding home and he comes across a pet store, and the pet store is on fire, and he runs in and saves the animals. That is on the Warner Brothers backlot, the pet store. But when he stops, that I could tell was not on the Warner Brothers backlot, and I wanted to figure out where that was. Me and my wife went on a hunt. We spent so much time searching for this. So right here is where Pee-wee comes around the corner and he stops right next to this building. It was at one point a restaurant, and then it was some office buildings, so not sure what it was at that time, but that building was also torn down a long time ago. It's now a hotel, but he stops right here, but behind him, you can see another building, and that is how we figured out that this is where that was filmed. And that building was located right here, and it's now been torn down. And I can't believe this. I can't believe it's gone. I mean, how long ago was it that I made that video? I feel like it was just like 6 months ago. You know what? I'm thankful that I found it right in the nick of time. I mean, if I would have come just a little bit later, it would have been gone. And we would have never found this location if that building had been torn down. That building was the only thing, it was the only way we were able to figure out this location. I'm definitely very thankful that it was here long enough for us to figure it out. And at least now we know. I'm sad because there's nothing else here at this intersection to tell us that this was the spot from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, except for my video. We now know, I documented it, thankfully, and we now know. Let me walk over there. I want to see what some of these signs say. Attention, beginning on Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024, North Hollywood Health Center will be temporarily relocated to Glendale Health Center. So there we go. I guess starting in July, they started moving people over, and then I'm guessing sometime in the summer, they tore this down. Some of the wacky stuff that you'll see while driving around the valley. It's now 104 degrees. October 2nd, 3:20 in the afternoon. This is nuts. Okay, I've got more bad news for residents of the valley, especially if you're a hot dog fan. I'm currently standing on Lindley Avenue at Nordhoff Street, just south of CSUN College, and it appears that one of the last original Cupid's hot dogs is about to be torn down. It's got this green construction fence around it, and it looks like even the windows have been boarded up. And it's kind of hard to see, but looking through the side window, it looks like it's gutted inside too. When I was growing up, the three main locations that we went to was the one on Victory and Tyrone, which was right across the street from the gun shop in Terminator. That's been gone for a long time. Then the location on Van Owen and Winnetka, right across from Canoga Bowl. And then this was the other location that we always came to. The one on Van Owen and Winnetka, that's still there. And if this gets torn down, that is going to be the last original Cupid's location. And yeah, it's just really sad because I definitely have some memories here. Although the one across from Canoga Bowl is the one that we probably went to the most, but I also have some memories at this one. Okay, actually, I'll tell you, this is a really stupid story, but when I passed by and saw this Cupid's, this is the story that came to mind. All right, I jumped back in my car to tell this story because it is incredibly hot out there. It's actually 107 now. So anyways, I was about 12, well, I'd probably just turned 13, and this girl in my neighborhood who lived a couple houses down, she was the cool girl in the neighborhood. Like, she dressed really cool, she listened to cool music, she had like short hair that was crimped and, you know, had hair wraps in it. I had a huge crush on her, but I didn't think there was any way that she would like me back. But one day, I built up enough courage to ask her out on a date. I knew that my brother was coming to visit us that weekend, and he had told me that he wanted to go to Cupid's, and so I thought this would be my only chance to go on a real date with her. So I called her on the phone and I said, "Hi, do you want to go on a date with me Sunday?" And she said, "Okay, sure, if I can manage." And I said, "Okay, thanks." And I hung up. Sunday came, I never heard from her. I tried calling her, no answer, couldn't get a hold of her. My brother came over, we came to this Cupid's Hot Dogs, and I sat right there on the side of the building, eating my chili dog, sad because I thought that she flaked on me. And then, I don't know, like a week or so later, I hung out with her and I brought it up to her and she said, "Oh, you said Sunday? I thought you said someday." That's why I was like, "Well, yeah, sure, if I can manage." And we laughed about it. Of course, I didn't think it was very funny. And she said, "Yeah, no, I would have went with you if I would have known." We never did end up going on a date, but we became friends. And so, that was cool. Her name was Nikki. And if you're watching this, just know you missed out on some really good chili dogs that day. If you want the authentic Cupid's experience, I guess now you've got to go to the one across from Canoga Bowl because that's the only one left. But yeah, did any of you have experiences coming to this Cupid's Hot Dogs? Maybe you went to CSUN and you used to walk over here. Maybe you used to work here. Maybe you can tell me some of the gross stuff that happened here that I don't want to know about. Let me know. Tell me in the comments. Now, of course, as I cruise through the valley with Halloween on my mind, I can't help but think about all the awesome times that I had here in the valley, trick-or-treating back in the 80s. So where did I go? Where did little Kurt Crucial go to get his Halloween costumes? Well, there was a few places. From what I remember, there were 3 places where we would go to get my Halloween costumes, and all 3 of those places no longer exist. I did not know that this was no longer a CVS. It's now a WSS shoe store, but back then in the 80s and 90s, this was a Save-On's Drugs. Of course, when Save-On's went out of business, most of them became CVS, and I thought that's what it still was. But back in the day, when this was still a Save-On's, this was one of the places where I came during Halloween time. I remember coming here to get Halloween candy with my parents. I think this is where I got my Michael Jackson werewolf mask. And honestly, that mask looked nothing like the werewolf from Thriller, but when I walked into this building, I flipped out. I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's the Michael Jackson werewolf. I need to be that for Halloween." We had already bought my Halloween costume, but my parents were nice enough to let me get the werewolf mask anyways, and then we just used the other costume next year. They even got some gloves and cut some of the fur off of the werewolf mask and glued it on the gloves so I could have werewolf hands, but then it didn't matter because they let me wear a short sleeve shirt so you could see my bare arms, and it looked really funny, and I have no idea why they didn't tell me to wear a jacket or something, but in my head, I looked exactly like Michael Jackson in the Thriller music video. Another place that we went to a couple of times for Halloween costumes was a magic shop that used to be located on Topanga Canyon in Chatsworth, and it's been closed for a while now. I think it's like maybe a fish store or something now. I can't really remember. But the main place that we went to for all of our Halloween needs used to be located right here across the street from me. There used to be a shopping center located right here on Parthenia Street between Tampa and Shirley. And inside of this shopping center, there was a diner called Hudson's Diner, and they had an old Hudson car parked in front of it. I think it was later a Johnny Rockets. There was also a movie theater. Funny enough, the movie theater, it later on became like a $1.50 theater, and then it went out of business, and it then became a haunted house. I don't know why, but I never got to go to that haunted house. However, right towards the end, they started doing punk shows there, and my band did play there one time. We were in the lobby, and I looked in the other theater, and you could see all the, all the walls and props and everything from the haunted house. And I believe it was right in between the movie theater and Hudson's Diner, you had Magic Emporium, which was a department store size magic shop, and it was awesome. Something that we got from Magic Emporium, which they do not make anything like this anymore, at least as far as I know. They had something called gel effects. You would put these bottles into a pan of boiling water, and then they would the gel inside would soften up, and you would put it on your arm or face or whatever, and it was scalding hot. It would burn your skin, and then as it would start to harden, you could kind of mold it and make it look like a wound, and then you would take the red one and put that on there for the blood. We used it for years, making all kinds of fun little wounds and whatnot, and they don't make any. I haven't seen anything like that since then. There might be a reason for that. It was probably toxic, or something was wrong with it. Yeah, I wish they still made that, and I wish Magic Emporium was still here. Do any of you remember Magic Emporium? Did anybody shop at this store? Did anybody work at this store? Cool stuff that used to be here in the valley that no longer exists. Man, I want it all back. All right, I'm gonna give you one more Valley Halloween memory. This is one that I think I've actually already told, but today I'm gonna tell it in a little greater detail, even though it's pretty embarrassing for me. I'm gonna go ahead and put myself out there and share this story with you. I'm currently standing in Reseda Park, and right behind me is the public pool. Right behind that is the youth center. Now, this would have actually happened in the early 90s. I was way too old for this to happen. I was probably around 15, I would say. And right there inside of that building, this is where I went to my very first haunted house. So as I said, it took place right there inside of that building. It was just put on by the kids at the youth center, so it wasn't anything spectacular. I came over here with my mom and my dad and my girlfriend, which made it even more embarrassing. And so we entered into the building, and I don't remember much, but what I do remember is there was some kind of a scene where someone was like getting killed or something, and we stopped and watched that, and then was like, come on, we gotta keep going, we gotta get out of here. And we then got to a place where there was someone standing in front of us in a devil costume. And I swear what I remember was he was wearing like a classic devil, like the red spandex with the cape and the horns and a pitchfork. And in a very heavy accent, he told us that we had to live there with him forever, that
our souls now belong to him.
And I was, I don't know why, but I was so scared. And again, I was just telling my parents, come on, we gotta go, we gotta get out of here. Since I was just standing there, of course, someone took the opportunity to jump out and grab me. This was the 90s when you could still grab someone inside of a haunted house and not get sued. So they jumped out and grabbed me, and I flipped out and went running out of the building. I came running out of that door. I'm surprised I didn't end up inside of the pool, and I stood right there trying to catch my breath. The guy who scared me came out and was like, oh man, I got you so good. And I was so angry at him. And then one of the other workers, I'm guessing he was maybe the guy in charge, came out and asked my dad, what did you think, sir? And my dad just kind of shook his head and said, that was pretty bad. And the guy was like, oh, come on. And then my dad smiled and said, it was great. It was great. We had a good time. Thank you. And the guy was like, oh, all right, thanks for coming. And I'm sure it was not a good haunted house at all, but it was the first time I had ever been in something like that, and I don't know, it scared me. The first time I went to Halloween Horror Nights, same thing, I was terrified, and then like a year later, I was working at Fright Fest, and after that, I just became, you know, desensitized to it. None of it scared me anymore. And actually, as much as this story embarrasses me, I wish I still got scared like that. Like when I go to Not Scary Farm and stuff now, I enjoy it, but I don't get scared anymore. I get startled, but I don't get genuinely scared. So yeah, this may have been a little bit of a embarrassing experience, but I'm also a little envious of the old me. And you guys should put on the haunted house here again. If you do, I will definitely come to relive those memories. So whoever runs this building here, please bring back the Reseda Park Haunted House and I will come and enjoy it. All right, that is gonna do it for this video. As always, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time.